main types of budgets.
My name is Micho Aineviona. I am a public finance management specialist, and we have spent the last 3 days here in Arua basically training the young people from the districts of Nebi, Arua District Local Government, and Arua City in budget advocacy. This training has focused on a number of things, mainly 3 key areas for them to understand government budgeting, the processes involved in government budgets, the cycles, the key stakeholders in undertaking budgets, and basically understanding their role in the government budgeting process.
We are going to get into all the documents, watch a few videos, and understand this animal budget at least for day 1. Is that okay? The budget of Uganda, how big is the document? Give me how many pages you think. 60 pages, it's more than that. 100, it's more than that. 1,000, it's more than that. Members, that documents usually are between 2,500 to 3,000 pages. Tell me which Ugandan is going to read those things. But the budget advocates will read those documents, not so. You're going to be engaging people who have been doing these things over 10 years and you want to convince them. You have to have an edge of how you do it. The knowledge and the how, basically. Number 1 that I emphasize there is that you have to know the constitutional requirements, you as a citizen, and the obligations, your ability to mobilize, and then very importantly, which we're going to do here, providing that simplified information to the communities. Because you're here on behalf of someone, you're not speaking for yourself. Your ability to pick views, package them for advocacy. Very important. For budget advocacy, which we are here for, one of the most critical that I have come to learn over the years is the post-mortem. Why? For post-mortem, usually, all the data is there. You're not projecting, you have actuals. It's no longer a projection. For example, the data for 2023, 2024, everything about it, like I'm going to show you in the afternoon, is there. How much was actually spent? I think it was a 57 trillion budget. Auditor General has already even released his report. They released money for PDM. Of these circles, only these ones received the money. These ones misused the money. These ones did not. Facts are there and they are rarely distributed for a budget advocate. Please use that advantage. Are we together? Amicably, without throwing stones. That's the advocacy we are teaching here. Okay? We have about 3 main types of budgets. Okay? And I remember you studied this in A level. Number 1 is what type of budget? There they go. I knew. Huh? Yes, Faith. Surplus, which means that what? Which means the revenue is more than the expenditure. Wonderful. Then the other budget is deficit, which means what? So for surplus, revenue is more than expenditure. Not so. Remember this kind of thing. I'm bringing you back to mathematics. Remember greater than. Deficit, expenditure is greater than. What's the other type of budget? Balanced. This one means that what? Expenditure. You people passed mathematics, you can say. So what do you think Uganda's budget is of those 3? People don't like your country. But is it the truth? Yes. It is the painful truth. Yes. It is the fact. So we operate a deficit budget. Means that what we want to spend on is more than what we are able to bring in. How do we do it? All these years. External revenue, the things we're discussing, Countries in what they call the Schengen region, the Norways and so on and so forth, those ones have close to balanced budgets. Okay? Because for them, the way they distribute their resources is a bit well balanced. Okay? Then, in the oil countries, Qatar, their budget for them is surplus. They reach a point and all the hospitals have been built. Okay, what do we do now? The money is in plenty for social services. They even now give money to their citizens for welfare. If you can prove that you are a Qatarian, they pay for even for the children and it's okay. Okay? So this is the sad reality of our kind of budgets. Can the government move? Yes, depending on how they manage their resources. If, for example, the oil now comes through and we manage it really, really well, we can move to the level of at least balanced. In the afternoon, we're going to see these figures and what we can do about it. Okay? So it's important as advocates to have this knowledge at the back of your minds. That now when you speak from an informed point of view. For you now not in the general population. This is happening, for you now know the why and you're engaging more meaningfully. You can even advise. Okay? That's the foundation we are building. Are we together? Okay? So for this budgeting thing, there's what they call principles, things that guide a good budget, what a good budget should look like. When you're analyzing it, what are those things you should look like? Okay? One of them is things like period, should have some sort of period. Don't just do a budget that doesn't have a period. When you're analyzing it, it's from what year to what year. It should have some sort of period, okay? It should have some sort of where the money is going to come from realistically. It should be able to predict. That's why you see whenever they read the budget, the Minister of Finance says, Madam Speaker, because he's addressing the Speaker, I intend to get this money from, I'm going to be borrowing this, I'm going to collect revenue from this, I'm going to have grants from this, and so on and so forth. That's a good budget. Whenever you see a budget anywhere and you are a consultant in future, and they don't see that predictability where money is going to come from, you'll raise your hand and say, but where is the money? You will be allowed. That's a good budget. The other one is comprehensiveness. Now this is a tricky bit. It has to cover every Ugandan that is in these boundaries here. Whether it's a child, a woman, a man, people with disabilities, an ethnic group that you feel is very, very, very neglected, everyone has to touch on that money. Are we together? Are we together? No budget is written on stone. It can actually be contested. You can say, based on the research that I'm seeing on this and this and this, no, I think this can be done better. And that's why citizens need to participate and young people like yourself. Otherwise, they will pass it and then you will come and say, but what are they doing? Yet you had a chance to participate and contest. Okay? Then the last one that I love very much for this training, transparency and accountability. Do you know that Uganda in East Africa is number one in what they call budget transparency? One has clapped, others have questioned. In Africa, we are only number after which country you think? Wonderful, South Africa. And South Africa beats us narrowly. So this is how they measure these transparency things, is that anything around the budget, can a citizen access this information in the simplest way? If I want to know what has gone to education, can I find it without having to go to the government Ministry of Education? Where I am seated here, right now, can I find it in how long? In the simplest of terms, that's what they mean. Now, for us who are a bit more technical, if I go there, can I find Excel documents where I can do analysis there? Can I find the circulars there? Or when do they put it and in what time do they take to put this information? If the budget has been ready in June, will they put it next year in June? Or is it already there? Or when should it be put there for people to access? That's what it is.
We've also focused on helping them understand how to analyze the budget. We've looked at different components of the budget. They have been able to be exposed to the structure and what it means to understand the different and key components of the budget.
You have to have the ability to monitor. Yes, the money is little, but what has it done? To form your basis for engagement. Are we together? Key budget documents, where to get this information, someone may ask. These are some of the most important ones that I've pointed out here. But with the most important being here, this one here, the budget website, www.budget.finance.go.ug. Are we together? Another one that we are going to look at in the budget process is that budget framework paper that comes out in December. Approved estimates. Now that they have read the budget speech, the estimates now are there. the budget call circulars, ministerial, we understand what this. Then for me, one that I also love very much is this one. Because I like the accountability bit, I always read the Auditor General's report.
We've also gone ahead to have some practical sessions with them interacting with budget documents, including the budget speech, their respective district budgets. They've had a chance to unpack the national budget. They've had a chance to look at the different audit reports from the Auditor General and from the different reports that have come through from the budgeting process.
For development expenditure, by third quarter, they release all of it. Now, like for this financial year, by January, because quarter one is July to budget process. July to second quarter is October to December. Very good. Third quarter, January to March. Wonderful. Fourth quarter, April to wonderful. Clap for yourselves. So for development expenditure, they make sure by the third quarter, which is wonderful, is released fully. To try and fight some of these procurement-related challenges. Are they there yet? No, not yet. But they are listening to some of this feedback. Central government has tried to improve what they are doing, releasing the money on time. There's some work in between there that needs to be approved. So there's a way you can rephrase that question and ask them. It has come to our attention that in this report, we have seen that money has not been released on account of this. As a ministry, what are some of the measures you have in place to ensure that money is released on time for better service delivery? Correct. This one has been in Mitchell's class. The ministry will say, this one has gone through. They will have to answer. But not defensively. They will answer to give you information. And if possible, make a commitment. If the minister is in that meeting of finance, it will get his attention and say, where are my officers? On this one, have you? Okay, then they call the commissioner. Come, please. Then the commissioner will do it on the spot to answer, but amicably.
Day 3 has focused on budget advocacy, basically to help them package the information that they have been learning from day 1 up to day 2, to understand how to package key information that they can now use in their advocacy in their different local governments.
So there are several advantages and importances of budget advocacy, but I'm going to point out some of those key that I have proven over the years. Again, all that I'm presenting here is things that I have tested before. Are we together? Yes. When you read more about budget advocacy, you'll find other things. But for this class, we're going to focus on these. Okay? And we'll break it down. One is amplifying voice of those people who don't have a voice, like we have mentioned. Okay? Uganda's population, for example, we've now seen over 70% are young people. Okay? If you look into the budget that has been released, do you feel it reflects that they're having needs of the young people addressed? Budget advocacy. Okay? Number 2, it helps influence positive change in communities through improvement in quality and quantity of public goods and services. Okay? So all this that you're talking about of resource allocation, decision making, then changing mindsets. Then the very interesting one that you had mentioned is on improving transparency and accountability here. Members, budget advocacy is one of the best approaches calling for transparency and accountability in any society, including even at home. But largely, for bigger entities, it's meant to be a source of accountability and transparency. Okay? That one thing that I told you that we plan, right from the Vision 2040, the National Development Plans, we actualize those plans through annual budgets. Okay? That's the one way we can hold our leaders accountable. Not so. Okay? Then finally, someone mentioned corruption here and accountability. But helps us expose leakages and challenges within public expenditure. Separately, government has told us that they can't monitor themselves. They have tried. There's only one unit I told you. Government monitoring is largely supposed to be done by Office of the Prime Minister. But those reports are usually very, very, very weak on evidence. Ministry of Finance started what they call a budget monitoring and accountability unit. That unit has less than 30 people, 30 officers. Those can't monitor the whole of Uganda effectively. And that's where government admitted on record that they need civil society. and any other non-state actors to support with service delivery monitoring. Okay? That for us, I will release the money, and I can't also be on ground to tell you how it's working. I need an independent voice to tell me the quality of the services. This only is effective with budget advocacy. It requires people who have knowledge of the budget, the processes, the constituents, and how to present these issues.
It has been overdue. We really appreciate this, and I want to assure you that from this, we are going to make sure that we impact this and reach out to more young people, but also to the duty bearers. We engage them and see how we can bring on board the young people to participate actively and meaningfully.
And that is exactly the reason why you are brought here as youth leaders, to make sure that you work closely with the governments in the respective entities. Work closely with them. But you cannot work closely with them if you don't know what has been budgeted for. And therefore you must be well acquainted with what has been budgeted for, how much has been budgeted for, and what are the indicator areas to show that these outputs, these planned activities have been implemented. And then you join them in planning for the next financial years. And that is why you are brought here. Now, when you are brought here, you are not brought as watchdog. Am I okay? To go and spy on a government. No. To go and spy on technocrats. No. Not to go and fault find. But to work closely with them to make sure that what is planned is delivered for the well-being of the population, of the citizens. And that is why you are brought here. Am I communicating? Am I communicating? This means now you have to move away from negative engagements. You have to move to more of positive engagements. There are people on platforms, they are full of negative engagements. Whatever they talk, they are just negatively possessed. Have you come across such people? Negatively possessed. When you are negatively possessed and somebody is also negatively possessed, you will crash. And therefore, the theory of change is that you must be positive when you want to change somebody. You must be able to do situational analysis. Then after situational analysis, now you come up with what you need to do. That is now formulation of the plans or the objectives.
We had some mock-up as well for them to have a good understanding of the different budgeting process and for them to appreciate and put in practice what it would look like interfacing with a government official in accessing information, in seeking appointments, in being able to address issues that concern them.
Especially me, I had no idea that the budget speech was being read or being made. No one has that information. The information is just too little for us to utilize and know that. And even if it was there, like we have never participated in the budgeting process. So because you've never participated, your interest is actually less in that process.
I honestly don't pay much attention on the budget in as much as I'm an active politician. Because somehow the young people, according to me, take the budget process as something that excludes them. They take it as something that they can never have a voice on. That's why they've lost interest in paying attention to it in any ways.
By day 3, almost all of them were in agreement that they need to listen to the discussions because of the training that we had thanks to Sensitise Uganda.
We are being involved in these processes, but we are not meaningfully being involved. So we have learned from this training that we are very important in the budgeting process, because we have seen from the facilitator that actually most of these informations are at our disposal, but we didn't know. So we can actually access this information by ourselves, and we are going to do the same to empower the other people who have not been part of this training.
I have learned a lot that it is our mandate to fully understand, not only to participate, but understand all the budgeting processes so that we are able to help one another and see that there is a steady progress in the implementation of the budget, and knowing that we are really growing as a country. Because if we don't understand the budget, it becomes so difficult for us to see where we are lacking behind and where we are going as a country.
One thing that I have learned is about budget advocacy. How can I advocate to ensure that the budget that is approved or the budget that is to be approved is so inclusive? One is I am going to ensure that I extend this knowledge to other youths with disabilities who have not attained this skill, so that they understand. Let's first understand the budget cycle so that we know how it is developed. Then that will help us to assess, and that will equally help us evaluate on our advocacy status.
My perception has changed about the whole budget process, and it has also changed a bit about the budget makers, the technocrats. Because we have always thought that they do the things by themselves and at the end of it they own it. I got myself interested in the process of the budget making and how the chain is entangled.
So from this training we are going to take part, and this is really going to impact a lot on us as the youth leaders, but also as the people who we are leading. So we commit to supporting the young people. We commit to empowering them to participating in government programs, especially in the budgeting cycle. We want to participate right from the time of preparation of this budgeting, the implementations, and most importantly, the monitoring and evaluation of these programs of the budgeting cycle.
I've gained more knowledge, more insight, and I think I've unlearned some of the ideas I already had, and I'm starting to think more objectively. I would like to take the opportunity to thank Sensitise Uganda for this platform that they've made available. I hope that it doesn't just stop here or maybe in this region. I believe the same information we are getting here is being passed to our fellow youths outside there.
So for a young person to achieve the aspirations that they have in the different government programs, it's key that they understand how the budgeting process actually works and where, most importantly, they can participate. So this has just been the start, has set the precedent. What I would expect from them is to continue pursuing and practicing. For example, the session on budget analysis is one we just touched barely. So I would expect the young people to go ahead and practice all the instruments, all the tools that have been used to acquaint themselves and get better and more efficient in using and presenting more papers.
3 days you're here, you look energized and you've gotten enough. The question is, are you ready to influence the budget so that services delivered to your own people are very efficient? Even some of us are here, we crossed a bridge that was not equal to the money that was budgeted for in the last financial year. Some of us are here, our homesteads are just few meters away from shoddy classrooms that have been constructed. Some of us are here, few meters from our homes, our health center threads, where services are not well and we are keeping quiet. I need people who will tell me, Madam Arasisi, the other day we influenced the budget for a culvert and it has broken down without even spending the first birthday. And the advocacy starts now. How? When we push a budget, if the health sector provides a friendly youth space there, we will go and learn. When we learn from there, when we conceive, the environment where we will give birth to these children will be a safer one. That is what Sensitise Uganda is saying. So the time is now. Be available for your own budget to be put. Otherwise, as young people, there is nobody for us without us. Be available to put the priorities of your village as a young person. Be available to push the priorities of the youth in the parish. Be available in the sub-county consultations. Be available in the district consultations.